How is it that we have so many drivers right now in the trucking industry that are driving illegally, don't have a valid CDL, or, just didn't even go through the proper training in the US to be able to get a valid CDL? Well, right now we're gonna watch a video on Secretary Sean Duffy talking about how CDL mills got started. So let me put play real quick and let's get to it.
Pete Buttigieg in the last administration decided there shouldn't be any rigorous requirements to certify that a school is well qualified to train drivers. He said the schools across America, they could actually self-certify. So any of you here in the room could say, I'm going to start a commercial driver's license school. I'm going to certify that I'm well qualified and I can train students in America. Self-certification in the last administration has brought us CDL mills. And what we found through some of our investigation, and we are not done yet, some of these commercial driver's license schools, some of them don't even have a curriculum. Or others that do have a curriculum, it's only a partial curriculum. They don't have trucks or buses to train any of their students. So what this actually is a CDL mill where you can pay $800 or $1,000 and you don't get any training, and they just certify that you have gone through the schooling requirements to then go and be tested. So that's how we get individuals who have no training. Well, the next part of this is, well, if you go through a school that doesn't give you any training, well, how do you still get a driver's license? How does that come to pass? My daughter's 15 and she's getting her driver's license in Wisconsin, and she goes through a school, but then the state of Wisconsin actually gives her the written test, and the state of Wisconsin will give her a behind the wheels test, and the DMV of Wisconsin will certify that she's qualified. That happens in Wisconsin. But in a number of states, they've outsourced the testing to a third-party tester. So you can go through to a fake school, no training, and then in some of these states, you go to a third-party tester. And the third-party tester is participating in the scam because they're not adequately testing these individuals who have gone through the fake school. We don't run the third-party testing institutions in the states. The states are the ones who say either we'll test at the DMV or we'll outsource this to a third-party tester. But our rules require them to audit all of these third-party testers, to do covert operations to make sure they're adequately testing the students that are doing the skills tests and the knowledge test. And what we're finding is many of these third-party testers in states aren't adequately going through the process and testing the students. So you go to a fake school, you go to a fake third-party tester, and you go in with a piece of paper to the DMV, and they will take your picture, and they will give you a commercial driver's license. And you basically have no skills.
There you have it, guys. So you basically just explained how these CDL mills, get self-certified, are able to supposedly train drivers. They get that test or they get that certification there with them, and then they go to a third party to be able to do the writing test and to get their driving test done. And then they just go to the DMV, show that paper to them, and get their CDL. That's how we got flooded in the trucking industry. That's why we have so many truck drivers right now out there that are driving illegally, that are driving without the proper CDLs or without training. This is why we have so many drivers that can't even speak English properly or don't even speak English at all, driving on the roads and stuff and having so many accidents out there. So I'm glad that they're continuing to work on this. They've been working on this for a while already. And I hope that over the next 6 to 12 months, we see a big major improvement in the trucking industry. Rates should start going up. Rates should be able to start improving. So that way US based citizens, American truck drivers could actually start getting paid what they need to get paid in order to continue to run their business, to grow their business, to feed their families, because this is why rates have been, down in the dumps for so long. We've been going through this for the past 2-3 years already, because these people just flooded the industry, and they've, big brokerage, big mega brokerages, big large companies that want to profit off of, cheap labor, were pushing this agenda, talking about there's a driver shortage. And that's just not the case. They were pushing that agenda, getting more illegal immigrants here, passing out CDLs like they were candy, getting more cheap drivers out there. And these guys are driving, you know, loads for half the price because they're not paying taxes in America. They're not living in America. They're not buying homes here. They're living off the truck. They go out on the road, you know, 3-4 guys in the truck. And I've seen it myself when I've been out there on the road. You know, you see 3-4 dudes in the truck, just living off the truck, just living in there. They run, you know, 6-12 months or whatever. And all the money that they're making, they're sending it back home to where it is that they came from. And for them, that's a lot of money. You know, they could feed their entire family and build a home or build whatever they're doing out there in their country from what they're making here in America in dollars, but they're not paying taxes here. They're not, you know, contributing to the economy here. So that's how these guys just started running these rates down. For shippers, you have to understand that these rates are going to start going up. They're going to start going up. You're going to see it. And it's not going to be, you know, a process that's going to happen overnight. So it's going to be a gradual increase. But we're going to start seeing a lot of these drivers that are not going to be able to run these lanes anymore because DOT is getting very strict. FMCSA is starting to shut down a lot of people. There's not more illegal immigrants coming in and going to these CDL mill schools to get their CDLs because they just shut down. If I believe the last time that I looked, it was about 7,000 CDL mills across the US. So they're working hard on trying to fix this and stop all this issue. So this is the biggest issue that the trucking industry has had over the 2 to 3 years. And that's how you have all these drivers out there just running these loads for free, you know, driving them for such cheap rate that, you know, Americans can't compete with them, regardless of what it is that you try to do. Sometimes you just can't compete. So a lot of, you know, US based companies that have been trying to do their things the right way have been just treading water. If not, they've been running on the negative and just trying to survive and trying to hope that this improves before they go bankrupt. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope that they continue to work on this, and I hope that they actually, you know, improve the trucking industry throughout 2026, going into 2027, and we'll see what happens.